I found this email that we had got over the internet several years ago, and I was reading it. I felt it really needed to be shared. It's a story on there. It's about a young mother that put this on the internet, and it was sent to, all over the website. And it is something that touched my heart, and I'm sure it's going to touch everyone who really listens. She said, I'm a mother of 3, ages 14, 12, and 3, and I have recently completed my college degree. The last class I had to take was sociology. The teacher was absolutely inspired with the qualities that I wish every human being had been graced with. Her latest project of the term was called To Smile. The class was asked to go out and smile at 3 people and document their reactions. She said, I'm a very friendly person and always smile at everyone and say hello anyway, so I thought this would be a piece of cake, literally. Soon after we were assigned the project, my husband, my youngest son, and I went out to McDonald's one crisp March morning. It was our way of sharing special time with our son. We were, we were standing in line waiting to be served when all of a sudden, everyone around us began to back away, and then even my husband did. I did not move an inch. An overwhelming feeling of panic welled up inside of me as I turned to see why they had moved. And as I turned around, I smelled a horrible body odor, and there standing behind me were 2 poor homeless men. As I looked down at the short gentleman close to me, he was smiling. His beautiful sky blue eyes were full of God's light as he searched for acceptance. He said, "Good day," as he counted the few coins he had been clutching. The second man fumbled with his hands as he stood behind his friends, and I realized that the second man was mentally challenged, and the blue-eyed gentleman with him was his salvation. I held my tears as I stood there with them. The young lady at the counter asked him what he wanted, and he said, coffee is all, miss, because that was all they could afford, and if they wanted to sit in the restaurant to get warm, they had to buy something. Then I really felt it, the compulsion so great I almost reached out and embraced the little man with the blue eyes. That is when I noticed all eyes in the restaurant were set on me, judging my every action. I smiled and I asked the young lady behind the counter to give me 2 more breakfast meals on a separate tray. I then walked around the corner to the table that the man had chosen as a resting spot. I put the tray on the table and I laid my hand on the blue-eyed gentleman's cold hand. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes and he said, "Thank you." I leaned over and I began to pat his hand and I said, "I did not do this for you, but God is here working through me to give you hope." I started to cry as I walked away to join my husband and son. When I sat down, my husband smiled at me and said, "That is why God gave you to me, honey, to give me hope." We held hands for a moment, and at that time we knew that only because of the grace of God we had been given, we were able to give. That day showed me the pure light of God's sweet love. I returned to college on the last evening of the class with this story in my hand. I turned in my project, and the instructor read it, and then she looked up at me and she said, "May I share this?" And I slowly nodded as she got the attention of the class. She began to read, and that is when I knew that we as human beings and being part of God share this need to heal people and to be healed. In my own way, I had touched the people at McDonald's, my husband, my son, my instructor, and every soul that shared the classroom on the last night I spent as a college student. I graduated with one of the biggest lessons I would ever learn: unconditional acceptance. Much love and compassion is sent to each and every person who may read this and learn how to love people and use things, not love things and to use people. Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart. To handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. And after I read this, the Lord just gave me this to write and add to it. Christmas is a time of the year that shows the love of Father. What did he do? He gave his son, Jesus Christ, to be the hope of this world. And we as Christians carry this gift of hope within each one of us. And may we give freely and abundantly this gift to the hopeless, the hurting, and the lost souls that come across our paths. The lights on our Christmas trees, our yards and houses should not be the only lights that people see in our lives. The light of God's Son should outshine all the others, and not just at Christmas, but all year long.
Come on.